In 2018, the remains of a Viking ship and the first traces of an old settlement were discovered at Gjellestad outside of Halden. This was the first time in more than 100 years that a Viking ship had been discovered in Norway. The ship was found with the use of a ground-penetrating radar, a new technology that will most likely lead to a wealth of new discoveries. These discoveries have now placed Gjellestad, once and for all, on the map as an area of great cultural importance. There can no longer be any doubt that this area has been a central place from the late Nordic Iron Age until it was abandoned for unknown reasons many centuries later. Many questions come to mind when watching these ancient remains being dug up. Why was this place so important to our ancestors? And what else is waiting to be discovered beneath the soil? It is possible that this was a particularly good area for agriculture and animal husbandry. The area is relatively flat, and there are many rivers nearby. This settlement is also located close to Skjalden, which is the strait between Norway and Denmark. Easy access to the sea would probably also have meant that fish was probably a part of their daily diet. The sea would also have given the people the opportunity to travel to and from nearby trade towns, such as Kaupang or Eros. We also know that Skjalden has been used by pirates for thousands of years to fill their pockets with riches from traveling merchants. And it is possible that these people prefer to gather their wealth with the use of the sword. So far, there has been found the remains of 5 Longhouses, with the largest of them being almost 60 meters long and 15 meters wide. According to the archaeologist Lars Gustafsson, this Longhouse was probably not used as living quarters or for animal husbandry, but rather used for religious, social, or political purposes. The oldest of the Longhouses was built sometime in the early Iron Age, but it was not before the turn of the 1st century, around 1 CE, that the first small burial mounds were starting to be built, along with the second Longhouse. During the migration period, 2 additional Longhouses were built, along with a few more of the smaller burial mounds. And perhaps some of the bigger mounds were also built around this time period. The 5th and largest of the Longhouses was built during the Viking Age. The precise date has not been established yet, but it is estimated that it was built around 800 to 1030 CE. It is important to understand that every time a new Longhouse was built, the old one was abandoned. It was easier just to build a new one and scavenge the remaining good parts from the old house. And let's also not forget that these houses were built over a time span of more than 1000 years. The biggest of these burial mounds is Gjellestad, which is approximately 80 meters in diameter and about 30 meters above ground level, making it the second largest burial mound in Norway. Even though this mound is massive in size, there has not been found any traces of a ship in the mound. In contrast to this big mound, the Gjellestad Viking ship was not even found in the mound because it had been flattened by centuries of plowing. While losing our heritage by farming is not something that I like to think about, it does show us that even though many of the burial mounds have been flattened through the years, there is still a chance of finding more ships. The Viking ship was the first one to be discovered in Norway since 1904, but unfortunately it was far from being in the same condition as the Osprey ship. The Gjellestad ship was about 20 meters long and approximately 5 meters in width, which actually means that the 2 ships were very similar in size. The Viking ship excavation was completed in 2021, but there are still large blocks of soil stored at the Museum of Cultural History in Oslo that are waiting to be scanned for further findings. According to Christian Rødstrøm, who is the project manager of the Gjellestad ship excavation, we do not have a full overview of what we actually found. There might still be some surprises here. For instance, in the burial chamber, There were found more than 8,000 fragments of various items, pieces of iron and copper alloy. It will take years for the archaeologists to assemble all these pieces in order to make sense of what they have discovered. So this is definitely not the last time that we will hear about this excavation. In my humble opinion, there are 5 objects that I think so far are the best finds from this Viking ship excavation. This unusually large amber bead with a hole in the middle may not sound too exciting, but decorative beads of this size are rarely found. We do not know why exactly it was placed in the grave, but it could have been a charm of protection to help safeguard the deceased for the journey in the afterlife. My second choice would be another large bead, but it still has to be examined to determine what it could have been used for. According to the archaeologist Christian Rødstrøm, it is either another large bead or a spindle wheel. Spindle wheels were used to weigh spindles when hand spinning yarn. They have been made of many different materials such as amber, bone, clay, stone, wood and metal. Another great find is the bracelet or necklace with smaller beads in different colors. We know that one of the beads is made of amber, but the rest has yet to be established. It is unclear as of this moment, but this could be a highly deteriorated chest. We have seen individuals being buried with a chest before. For instance, one was found at the excavation of the Osberg ship. But this one is very deteriorated, and it is still unknown if it even is a chest. And even if this should be the case, it is difficult to see from the images of how much can even be preserved, but it still made my list. My last pick is not really an object, but just an imprint of a large axe. I think this imprint has a historical significance because it reminds us that the graves were rarely left alone. If it was taken by some grave robbers who made their living by traveling around and digging up valuables, or if it was looted by another clan, is only something that we can speculate about today. But it is unfortunately a fact that many graves have been disturbed in the past, and this imprint is clearly an indication of this. One could argue that we are still disturbing the graves today when we are conducting these excavations, but I would have to disagree, because they would eventually be destroyed by the elements. And if this is the case, then I would rather see them be preserved at a local museum so we can learn from our past.
Beliggenheten her er jo spennende da. Altså, du har Gjellhaugen, ikke sant? Og du har alle de andre gravhaugene som ligger på det samme jordet. Og vi har også en rekke rester etter hus. Nå kan vi jo ikke datere alle disse funnene som samtidig enda, så det kan godt være spredd ut over en lengre periode. Men likevel så viser denne kulturminnetettheten at dette er en sentral og viktig beliggenhet.
Vi vet jo at sjøen har gått inn bare noen 100 meter sør for Gjellestad. Og dannet en slags fin bukt. Og jeg tenker at der må det være veldig spennende å kjøre georale for å se om vi eventuelt kan finne spor etter en mulig handelsplass for eksempel, eller andre bosetningsområder, eller kanskje til og med andre gravfelt som ligger i området rundt.
Et vikingskip er jo utrolig spennende i seg selv, men hvis vi kan sette det inn i en kontekst med gårdene rundt, og noen av løsfunnene som er gjort på metallsøker, tilsier jo faktisk at her kan det helt klart være mye mer.
This must have been a place of great importance, and one question that comes to mind is, how much is the Norwegian government willing to spend on future excavations in this area, and will new GPR scans reveal more stunning finds? Perhaps the remains of another Longhouse or Viking ship. If you want to learn more about the history of this place, then you could go to the Gjellestad story website. There's a link in the description. I want to thank you for staying till the end, and if you haven't done so already, please consider joining the channel. See you next time for another video. Thank you for watching.